Welcome to Newslaundry Chota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. Newslaundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a Newslaundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ हफ्ता फ्रॉम द festivity laden month. We are recording this on the 6th of October, Thursday at 3 in the afternoon. Yesterday was Dasera. It is also Pujo week. It is also Dandiya week.
Which has been in news. And then there's Diwali.
And Diwali is still some distance away. So this is the week
away.
where many people are celebrating many festivals across the country. Some of them are doing it by beating up people of other religions, but apparently that is all in the spirit of festivities. We shall discuss that in the headlines later. But before we get into the headlines and the introduction of our guest, would just like to remind everybody, take the festival season to be a little contemplative and reflective of all your actions, what you're doing to contribute to the world in goodness, and is subscription to Newslaundry one of those things? If not, please add it, because we need your subscriptions. Like I have said for too long now, they're not only plateauing, but last 2 months, many of you have either forgotten to, or because of the burdened expenses of the festival month, have not subscribed. We need to expand and grow, not shrink. So I urge you to subscribe. Go on to newslaundry.com, click on the subscribe button and pay to keep news free, because as you know, we don't take any ads from governments or corporations, especially since corporations, these are funding shows that are outright endorsing violence and vigilante justice, which we shall also discuss. But let's get you the guests first. Joining us on the panel in the studio today are Mehraj, Lone and Manisha Pande.
Hi.
Hello.
Joining us on the phone line is RK Misra. Hello, Mr. Misra.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Mr. Misra is a senior journalist. He's a political commentator. He's from Gujarat. He's got an experience of over 5 decades. So that's a really long experience as a journalist, much of it on the ground actually. 2 decades he was with the Times of India, the Pioneer, and later he was handling the Gujarat State for Outlook magazine, Free Press Journal. He has also worked for the Sakal Times and Associated Press. He has been a specialist on Gujarat for ABP, that is Anand Bazar Patrika, and BBC Radio. RK, as he is called, is a columnist for Deccan Herald, Orissa Post, National Herald, Lokmat Times, and Enadu. So thank you for taking the time and joining us, Mr. Misra.
Pleasure.
Also joining us later on in the show will be Paul Oommen, but we will come to that later. Let's get the headlines and then get into the discussion. How common or uncommon is this kind of banning of Muslims into Garba? And I saw a really sad picture actually, someone put on Twitter, of his little daughter who was all dressed up, ready to go to Garba, and he says, I don't have the heart to tell her that this year we won't be going because I'm scared.
They're asking for our passports.
Yeah, ask for our passports. So what has the deal been and how has it changed in Gujarat, RK?
See, what you looking at or reacting to is an incident which has taken place, or incidents which take place over time and figure in the media. But there is a lot more which goes on behind the scenes. And for a person like me sitting out here, who's been watching the sequence of events over such a long period of time, my question is, why not? Because Mr. Narendra Modi came to power in Gujarat and consolidated it first in 2002 through a communal riot in which over 1,000 people lost their lives statewide. Number 2, a yatra, a Gujarat Gaurav Yatra thereafter, which consolidated this polarization and fetched him fabulous results. 121 seats, which was incidentally also the highest point of his political career in terms of seats in Gujarat. So if it works and it gets you such rich dividends, rich being in quotes, then the replication of that experiment, which is a surefire successful formula, is bound to take place. People used to start walking at a particular time to Ambaji, which is an important Hindu religious place. Initially, it was a trickle in the 90s, early 90s, when I came back as the pioneer special correspondent here. It was a trickle. Over the years, it became a torrent. Now, how did that happen? It happened because there was a lot of backroom engineering. A very innocuous setup in residential society would be what was called a pagpara sang. Pagpara means walking in Gujarati. The residents of a particular society got together and they said, okay, let us go, we'll walk down. And along the way, village panchayats, trade bodies, business organizations would take care of you. There would be resting places and things like that. And there would be hot water if you wanted to have a bath. There would be chambers of commerces distributing fruits and things like that all along the way as you walk down. Now, this innocent Pagparasang were backed by the VHP. So this is how the dominant religious scenarios started emerging, started being built. Then gradually over the years, outside villages, a board came up. Hindu Rashtra ke falane gaon mein aapka swagat hai.
So right at the first time where the Indore case came, where none of the newspapers, none of the media had any version of the accused. We didn't know what those boys were taken in jail for. You had everyone, all channels, and Aban, my colleague on the desk has done a very good piece on it. I mean, vile stuff being said across television news channels that यहाँ पे क्यों आते हैं, love jihad फैलाने आते हैं, tacky tickers like मेरे घर में तुम्हारा क्या काम है and stuff like that. So that kind of justification that it's okay to stop men, it's okay to check their IDs, it's okay to just accost anyone and taking Bajrang Dal's accusation at face values of all the people. You know what they're up to.
I mean, how far we've come. Even our former colleague here, Anand Ranganathan, I saw the kind of stuff he's justifying on I mean, today people are saying stuff that you could never have dreamed of.
And one very important thing in the NDTV report that I was talking about, the girl, the reporter, the woman, she goes and speaks to the Garba organizers, 3 of them Hindus. And they all come on record to say that Bajrang Dal guys created problems here. Everyone comes, we don't have a problem. Muslims also come, they celebrate, they click pictures, whatever. We have not complained. And it is these guys, and when we went to the police saying that Bajrang Dal guys are creating a ruckus, they said ki ye to state ke saath hai, we can't do much. So it's very clear, at least in Indore's case, what has happened.
So this incident, I think it needs to be seen in a larger context, in the sense that the situation that has been engineered in this country, especially over the last 6, 7, 8 years, going back, but especially in the last 6, 7, 8 years, is that if you are a Muslim, you're fair game. Your very identity, your very being is a criminal act. It doesn't mean if you've done anything or not. So in that context, this is a very small incident. At least these guys were lucky enough they weren't killed. They were just beaten up and then went away. People have been killed, lynched for no reason other than being Muslims. Their homes are being destroyed for no reason other than they're Muslims practically. They're stopped from practicing their food habits. Their livelihoods have been taken away for no other reason because they're Muslims. And why that's happening is because, there are multiple reasons for that, but the main 2 reasons are, one is the increasing, through this engineering, the increasing radicalization of the majority community, and the increasing cultural insecurity, and more importantly, the masculine insecurity that's kind of seeped in. So when these TV anchors, when these politicians, when they make these statements, they're coming, this is love jihad, this is Garba Jihad, it reflects that anxiety, it reflects that cultural and masculine insecurity. And the reasons for that in turn are, there are multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons is, one, this engineering, which has been politically done, this whole historical victimhood, Mughals, temples being destroyed, this and that. The other is more immediate. It's the economic insecurity that's seeped in the majority of the population. Because if you remember, only about 20, 25 years ago, India was supposed to be on the cusp of greatness. Jobs were going to be everywhere, right? That has not come about. What has come about is this obscene inequality which stares you in the face.
We've had a very bad rag in 1969 when he I was the chief minister. But there was no element of the state's involvement in it. What happened thereafter in the recent times over this thing where Supreme Court had to intervene, everything has happened, a lot of things have happened, is that it is not just about the minorities. Minorities are, for the moment, let us say, a pretext for polarization and of fear. And is R.B. Shri Kumar a Muslim? He's a devout Brahmin. For that matter, Satish Verma, of a lot of people who have been sucked into the vortex of a lot of problems. So the problem is larger, and these things, what you are seeing, are manifestations fitting into all this larger canvas for a particular purpose. Today, now, if you say that it's the minorities who will be targeted, तो वहां से वो शुरू होके आगे कहाँ जाता है? It goes to a fact where last Diwali in a Hindu area, Diwali ke crackers were being sold on these street carts, and suddenly people from some organization come कि तुम अपने भगवान बेच रहे हो, ये लक्ष्मी cracker, why are you selling this?
Wow.
Right.
And finally, it was like a couple of months ago that he said, I'm going to start my own national party. That's when probably he realized that there are not too many takers for his non-Congress, non-BJP front. And that's when he really started hitting out at the BJP. A full-out attack at the BJP was his the beginning of the metamorphosis of TRS to BRS. And then he hired Prashant Kishore for his campaign. And finally, now we are seeing that he has announced that it has TRS has transformed into BRS, Bharat Rashtra Samithi. But like you said, on paper, this has happened. A lot of technicalities is involved. Today, B. Vinod, the Planning Commission chairman, has gone to Delhi. He submitted a representation to the Election Commission. A lot of technicalities involved about how and whether the Election Commission will recognize them as a national party. That we'll have to wait and watch, because he has multiple plans ahead.
So linguistic identity is the fountainhead of most of these parties. There's the Marathi Manus, even Periyar's entire Justice Party movement was very, while it was like the BSP's, anti-Dalit, but it was very
Anti-Brahmin.
Anti-Brahmin, sorry. It was very, Tamil Nadu focused.
Ethnocentric.
It was very ethnocentric, correct. So, or even AGP, that Assam Gana Parishad, where there was a time I remember when I was probably a student, Prafulla Mohanta was a superstar. He was this rising star of Indian politics. And then suddenly AGP is nothing or nowhere. Whereas what a party like Congress has or BJP has is the fountainhead of their ideology, whether it is even for namesake, is something that is not, it's not linguistic or ethnocentric in that sense. Like Congress is the freedom struggle, it is an India thing, which is why even AAP has an upper hand. It has a presence in Gujarat. It can, because it is not that it was not a Delhi walon ki party ki Punjabi bolne wale hain, the Tamil bolne wale hain, Malayalam bolne wale hain. And I think that makes it very difficult, and I think that's going to be true for TRS as well, to grow beyond that. Because what is it that you're coming with? Shiv Sena tried for the longest time when Bal Thackeray was a real superstar for many Hindus in the north. They loved him because he was the most aggressive at that time, when the BJP was also quite meek in their anti-Muslim rhetoric. But even then, when they tried to set up an office in Delhi and actually make anything of it, no one was interested because the Marathi Manus was the central. So, Manisha, Mehraj, what do you think is the future? And if there is a future for a party, which is so far in the state, which one would that be? Like, I'd say BSP had the best chance. BSP could have been a serious national party. But their leadership, the current one, was never interested in anything except their own, palaces, etc.
Yeah.
we offer some concrete things. We are not interested in this whole secularism, Hindutva thing. We'll give you sadak, bijli, pani. That's our thing, and vote for us. That applies to people everywhere. Like every people need that. Same with the BJP's ideology. For example, in case of Chandrashekar, KCR, what does he offer beyond Telangana? If he offers something, people might vote. And if he has an organizational presence, because the way elections work in this country is not so much for maybe parliamentary elections, but especially like assembly elections. And that's where you build the base for the parliamentary election is people usually vote for the local candidate. And based on a whole lot of calculations, they're related to them. They expect some material benefit from them. He's from your caste. He's from your community. You know him. You know people who work for him. That kind of a thing. So you either need that organizational setup. You need this overarching ideology which can compensate for lack of that organizational setup. Or you need some kind of a common ground, like in the case of AAP.
He also gave away checks to people, soldiers who had laid down their lives during the war. So these are the kind of efforts that he's taking, but I don't know how much it's going to resonate with the people. In fact, in Telangana as well, a lot of people are angry that he chose to drop the Telangana out of the TRS party, which is the very link that they resonated to, or they felt that TRS is the party for the people of Telangana. And all of a sudden, when he decided to drop the Telangana out of it and make it Bharat Rashtra Samithi, they are actually confused because we have a by-election that's coming up. So will it be TRS? Will it be BRS on paper? Will BRS be recognized? So several questions in the minds of the voters. But at present, I can tell you that Telangana will be concentrating in the bordering areas of Telangana, which is the Maharashtra belt, which is neighboring Telangana, and also the Karnataka belt. So his main focus will be on the Telugu, Kannada, Marathi, and the Lambadi communities in these areas. He also, as a prelude to this, he had increased the ST reservation in the state from 6% to 10%. A government order was released last week. So all these are in sync. And he, of course, has AIMIM, Asaduddin Owaisi, as his friendly party in Telangana. So I think he'll also cash in on that because MIM has a considerable presence in Nanded, Aurangabad, central Mumbai as well. So
and he gets the crowds at least even in the Hindi heartland, even if it doesn't translate to votes, but people do come to listen to him at least. So if they're friendly,
that's
interesting.
Advantage being he can speak in Hindi and English, which Chandrababu Naidu couldn't. Even he had similar plans, but the language is KCR's strength. He can speak in Hindi, he can speak in Telugu, he can speak in English. So he thinks he can make a better representation, not just for the people of Telangana, but also across.
All of you listening in, the Chota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the Newslaundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to Newslaundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sun liya Afrika, mufat khoro. Not to brag or anything, but Newslaundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All Newslaundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.